Good evening. My name is Jenna Birch, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations at Westchester University. Thank you for joining us for the WCU 150 History and Heritage Exhibition Lecture and Tour Series. Before we begin, I would like to let everyone know that our next lecture and tour will focus on the history of the athletics department at WCU. Please save the date for Tuesday, December 14th at 7 p.m. and register online at wcualumni.org. You can also find the complete list of upcoming lectures on the Alumni Association website and recordings of previous events. For the best experience, we recommend having your viewing screen set to speaker, which will allow you to view the presentation in the largest format. This can be found on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Museum Director Michael D. Giovine and our guest speakers, Dean Christopher Hanning and Holiday Program Director, Dr. Ryan Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael D. Giovine. I'm the Director of the Museum of Anthropology and Archaeology here at Westchester University that sponsored this exhibition, WCU 150 History and Heritage. And I'm also the Director of our Museum Studies program. I want to give you a very, very brief tour for those of you who haven't joined us before. This exhibition is one of the capstone exhibitions of our Museum Studies program. And since January of 2021, we had roughly 15 students who have researched the history and development of Westchester University from its founding as a normal school all the way to the present day comprehensive liberal arts university that we have today. As you can see here, for those of you who haven't seen this before, and we encourage you to come and visit in person or view our 3D exhibition that's on our website, and Jenna will give you that link as well. We have the students have put together a very comprehensive timeline of all the major events that have occurred since our founding in 1871, when we were founded as a normal school, which taught predominantly high school age students how to be elementary school teachers, all the way through our Westchester State Teachers College era, where we became a 4-year college level institution, and then in the 1960s, Westchester State College, where we became a liberal arts college, and it was kind of a transitional period into to become a comprehensive liberal arts university with multiple colleges and, of course, Wells School of Music. The students also designed, each one of them designed particular exhibits within this that kind of give deep dives into certain topics and concepts that highlight, that kind of cross through all of our history. So we have, for example, in the center 2 cases over here, we have a focus on academics and scholarship. We have learning technologies over time, and we have research and scholarship, especially by professors who we espouse a teacher-scholar model here. So we integrate teaching into our scholarship, and we integrate our scholarship into our teaching as well. We also, students have also focused on gender, on race, diversity, and inclusion. We also have nearly 30 oral histories that were collected during the course of the research that you can listen to as well. And then finally, we have a focus on student life and student culture, from our military service of some of our student veterans, to Greek life, to clubs, and the arts and sports. And of course, undercutting all of this throughout their entire history since our inception has been music and the music program. And so we're really delighted to be able to feature kind of a talk by Dean Hanning, but also we have here a special guest, one of our student co-curators, Kat Godfrey. She's a master's student. In addition to working on this exhibition, she's a master's student that's been studying and writing a thesis on the history and development of the music program here at Westchester University. So instead of me talking this time, I want to throw it over to her, to Kat, and Kat can kind of take it from here and kind of show us the musical history of Westchester University. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so my thesis has changed a little bit into specifically the representation of women through the music archive, which is on the 6th floor. but music is an art and humanity, so it does have individual parts and everything, all of these display cases that we've talked about. So at the beginning, we have the very beginning of the normal school, which in 1871, it started from the academy, like Dr. Giovine said, and we have over here.
Yeah, you pulled out a bunch of things from the archive, which is awesome. Thank you.
We have the first 25-year history. And one of the interesting things is it has the enrollment numbers for boys and girls. And so in the 1870s, there weren't really many women getting an education, especially on the East Coast. So it was really important that Westchester, as a normal school, which educated educators, had women. And this also lists the courses that were studied here. Music isn't included in there because every single person enrolled at Westchester was taught vocal lessons for free. And then they could choose if they wanted to learn instruments. And I think it was in the 1880s, there were already 37 people paying to do instrumental lessons on top of all of the vocal lessons.
That's cool.
And then as we move on, so on the timeline, we have the 1880s, which is actually when the marching band was first started, and then it became a permanent institution in 1891. And then I found these two books. It was really common to have these different books by Hollis Dan, he was in charge of what people in Pennsylvania learned in music education. So it's just a bunch of different songs that everyone would sing together. He really liked group singing. So that was really cool.
Old song if you need. I was an altar boy for many years. I can hold.
Oh, good. And this is actually the man himself. He did not go to Westchester, but it looks like Westchester used a lot of his music books. And then there was a summer school started at Westchester in the 20s that was for music education as well. And so this is kind of the booklet that has all of that information in there. And then, so 1927, we get up to the State Teachers College. So there's more education or more degrees by the time that we get here. And that's 1928 is also when the first music education program started. And I have this men's glee club concert, which is really interesting. It's from 1927. And at the bottom of it, where is it? Oh, the Viking song right there is by Coleridge Taylor. He is actually a mixed race composer and conductor. And so he kind of fell out of what people learned about. So I was really surprised to see that in 1927, they were performing something by him. But with the DEI culture and initiatives that are going on, he's really made a comeback. So that was really cool to see that Westchester did that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We also have, I think, in 1927, Phillips Memorial Hall was completed, and of course, we're going to pop over after the tour here to Phillips, to Asplundh, so we can hear the organ and C.T. Hanning. So we're in that time period when all this happened, all this started.
I meant to bring this up too, because they're also going to talk about the first Christmas Carol service, which was 100 years ago. So they'll go more into detail about that. This is the earliest program I could find. It's from 1955. And so there's a little competition for who gets to sing one of the songs in here. I forget what one. I'm sure they'll know. But this is a list of alumni. We're trying to figure out all of the people who won that. So this is just part of a list that somebody could figure out. But yeah, it goes all the way back to Asplundh in 29. Yeah. So the next thing I can think of is Swope Hall, which is the very beginning of the Westchester State College. So this is now 25 Ave, but in 1960, this was pretty state of the art, and it was really cool that that Westchester's music program got its own building. That was huge.
And of course, that was the beginning of our state college era. So we were
Yeah.
creating different new programs that went beyond education, right? So probably the music
Yeah.
program was created as a major probably around that time. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
but there's also a big building push also at that time, I think.
Yeah, and Westchester's music program was accredited by NASM in 1958.
Right.
So it was right before then, as they were building up all the classes and programs that you could get. And then I do have more about the marching band, of course.
Well, it's incomparable.
Yes, it is. So I have this. Title IX passed in 1972, and that allowed a lot of college athletics to allow women's sports. And so the marching band, a lot of the members were asking when women would be allowed in there, because even in the 70s, women couldn't do the marching band. So Dr. Wells, who was actually teaching the marching band, he was in charge of it right now, he decided to let the students push for that. So the students were the ones who wrote in the newspaper, as you can see in the quad angles, and they debated why they should or shouldn't have women. And by 1974, women were finally allowed in, and they actually made a lot of money with contributions for people saying that they wanted women in the band. So that was huge. That was even before some drum corps had women. And Dr. Wells was also really amazing with the marching band because he changed the technique. He made it a lot more crisp, and he made shapes instead of just marching back and forth. And he brought drum corps into college marching bands, and that's why Westchester is so much more fun to watch than the other bands. What is the next thing we have? So we also have the Eagles jersey. We're still talking about band, I guess.
Yeah. What about the Eagle? What does that have to do with music?
So the Eagles used to practice here. This isn't about music so much, but they used to practice here on our campus. And when they moved to their own football stadium in Philly, Westchester, the marching band has gone there several times. And the Eagles drumline actually has a lot of Westchester members, myself included. So that's a really fun thing. We're still really connected. Westchester plays there a lot. They were just in, oh wow, that was a long time ago now, 2019. They were just in the Philadelphia parade. So there's a big connection there. And then as we moved into a university, there were more and more, especially graduate courses and programs that started opening up in like instrumentation and performance. So not so much just education, everything kind of started to spread out a lot more. And then we get way more close to today. So 2007, when the Taylor Swift concert was here,
music.
we actually got another music building. So Swope Hall opened up in 2007, and it is an all Steinway school, which means we have the best pianos out there. And then
It's shaped in the
it
form of a piano, right?
It is. It's a very cool building. Did you want to say You're thinking
Oh, I know. I was just talking. So we do have these strike posters here, and from 2016, were the only time that the faculty, unionized faculty in all 14 of the Paschy schools went on strike, and that this is my era now when I've been here. And whenever I think of the 2.5 days or whatever that we were on strike, I always think of the band, because all the different bands came out to support us. They were playing music. And it was just really a great kind of energetic, time when we really felt that we had the support of the community as well. Of course, the string orchestra would come out there and play like Game of Thrones. So I didn't know if they were going to try to, murder us or if they were supporting us, but that's a different story. But, certainly that's the one thing that sticks in my mind from those days there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there are other things too, right? Well, you helped us, loaned us this, right?
Yeah, we have another drumhead that's from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So that was in 2015, and that wasn't the first time we'd ever been there either. And then the little plaque underneath it to the left. So in 2018, Wells again actually gave Westchester the biggest donation Westchester University has ever received, and it was to endow the music program. And we switched our name and became a school of music, which is really great. And then we have this case here, which you said this was alumni.
So yeah, all of these this is an exhibit that focuses on the arts at Westchester. We wanted to kind of give a great diversity of the different types of arts that are instructed at Westchester, and specifically highlighting alumni, right? So in terms of music, we do have a signed LP by Devin Gaffilian, whom I believe graduated in 2013. He was nominated for a Grammy for this album last year. He came when the day of our opening, the kickoff of the sesquicentennial, and sang with the students, and that's available. That clip is available on our website as well. It was a really cool thing, but I'm sure there are other Grammy nominees and award winners as well, right?
Yeah, my previous voice professor, Randall Scarlatta, he's not at Westchester anymore, but he was nominated for a Grammy a couple of years ago while he was here. And then a current professor, Dr. Cullen, the guitar professor, he has, I'm pretty sure, received Grammys. And there are way more. I just can't can't remember them, but.
Yeah, we have a rich, I love that. Really cross-cutting everything here. Even from, you were telling me before too, before our founding, at 1871, one of the first professors or teachers here was actually from the academy.
Yeah.
He was a music teacher from the academy that was, liquidated, whatever you want to say, closed for the funds to build our institution, and he came over and was the first music teacher here, right?
Yeah, Max J. Muller.
Yeah. That's cool. I think another thing in this case really quickly was that, we do feature some of the earliest artifacts from the two founding clubs here at Westchester, which are both they're called literary societies, but they were really this very Renaissance man and woman kind of organization in which music played a big part. They debated, they wrote poetry, they published the Amulet that you see here, but they also play music, right?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the 1900s, actually, it was the Amulet one. That's the older one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in the 1900s, there were bands, orchestras, and choruses in the normal school itself, but the Amulet, actually, the Literary Society had its own of each of those as well. So they would write music. They wrote poems, which were actually kind of funny, like tongue in cheek. But yeah, everyone was kind of musical back then. Yeah.
Well, it was standard, right? As standard procedure for all students, they should master, music and voice as well.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know. I think maybe we should you want to pass it over to Dean Hanning and talk a little bit more about the Christmas concert, the holiday concert, and give us some more information live from Phillips from Asplundh here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
So hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me clearly. And for those of you that do not have your microphones on mute, please do so, and that'll make it better because we're going to hear the organ pretty soon. And I want to thank Jenna and Kat and Michael for teeing this up for us. Of course, my name is Chris Hanning. I'm Dean of the Wells School of Music, and I'm joined tonight by Dr. Ryan Kelly, Associate Director of Choral Activities and the Director of a Holiday Program. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of this event, what is in store for our 100th holiday program scheduled for 3 p.m. on December 11th, and finally about this historic Skinner organ. Please put your questions in the chat and we'll try our best to answer them as we move along. And finally, we hope to hear some of your stories as a participant and/or audience member of past holiday programs. In case some of you have not had a chance to read the history of this program in our concert brochure, which is right here, I'll share that with you right now. What is known today as the annual holiday program was started on December 18th, 1921 by the newly appointed head of music department for the Westchester State Normal School. Known then as the Christmas Carol Service, the program featured choral and sacred music performances by the senior girls and junior girls glee clubs, who would process down the halls of the old main chapel and later this beautiful hall we're in today, Emily K. Asplundh Concert Hall, with lit candles and adorned in white gowns. From the 30s to the 60s, the Christmas Carol Service grew to include school choral ensembles and student organizations such as the Junior Chorus, Vespers Choir, College Choir, Men's Glee Club, Men's Chorus, Women's Chorus, and Concert Choir. The 1970s and 80s saw the event title change from the Christmas Carol Service to the annual Christmas Concert, the Christmas Carol Program, and finally the Holiday Choral Program. During the 90s, the Holiday Choral Program began including secular music, and by 2001 it would become known as the Holiday Program, and expand to include the WCU Symphony Orchestra, WCU Percussion Ensemble, and the Criterion's Jazz Ensemble. A highlight of the annual holiday program is what you heard Kat talk about earlier, is the honor soloist for O Holy Night, traditionally given to the best female singer, known as the Christmas Chantress. The honor soloist has become a co-ed position, and this time honor tradition remains to this day. Do we know who the soloist is this year?
Sydney Schwartz.
Sydney Schwartz, all right. So if you come to the concert on December 11th, you'll hear Sydney perform O Holy Night. I thought it'd be terrific to have an up-close look at the Skinner organ installed in 1926, since it has played such a big part of the holiday program over the years. I can't tell you how many times alumni would talk with fond reverence of our organ professor emeritus, Dr. Harry Wilkinson, and his pyrotechnic performances during the holiday program. It was obviously very memorable to many of our alumni, and hopefully some of you that are on this call can remember those days. Now I'm going to ask Ryan to talk about the holiday program this year, what we have in store for you, and then about this amazing instrument we have here right next to us.
Great. So it is exciting to be a part of this program, not only as its director, but particularly for this year, which is its 100th anniversary, that it's the 100th anniversary coinciding with the 150th anniversary of the university is extra special. And if there's one other thing that would set this concert apart, I'd say it is that we weren't able to have an in-person concert last year. We were able to do a virtual concert, but the opportunity to welcome back alumni and the Westchester community back to Asplundh Hall for this concert is something that not only am I looking forward to, but our students are very, very excited about. A standout about this program, as Dr. Hanning mentioned, is that so many students are represented on the concert. So all of the choirs on campus participate in this concert. The Westchester Symphony Orchestra participates, the Kreitz participate, the jazz band at the end of the concert, and the orchestra and all of the choirs perform together and separately, but together for a few moments on the program, which is also something particularly special. A highlight this year, though, for this 100th anniversary and the 150th anniversary of the university is a special world premiere of a choral and instrumental work that we will be offering to the community. We commissioned for this occasion a composer to write a new work for choir, organ, and brass. We decided after much deliberation and thoughtfulness about this to commission David Conti, who is one of the preeminent choral music composers in the United States, who teaches at the San Francisco Music Conservatory. And he composed a 15-minute Gloria for choir and brass and organ, which will feature the Skinner organ, and something that no one has heard before. If you are here for this concert, your ears will be the first to hear this. Outside of ours in rehearsal, no one has heard this work before. It's like wrapping a Christmas present for your kids, knowing what's inside of it, and knowing that they haven't opened it yet and looking forward to it. That's kind of how we feel right now. We have this program, this piece wrapped up, ready to present to you. We know that you will love it, and we are really looking forward to premiering it for you on December 11th. So that's a highlight. Of course, the orchestra will be performing. The orchestra will perform solo. They will perform with choirs. We'll do a major work by Von Williams Benedicite. There will be music by Bach from Bach's Magnificat. The Kreitz were performing some great jazz holiday standards. It will be a don't miss concert for the season. And on top of it, it's at 3 o'clock. There's plenty of time to make dinner reservations afterward, to have a nice night out with the family. So encourage you to do that. Our program for the last several years begins with the Skinner organ. Before the choirs sing, before the orchestra plays, our organist presents a prelude of holiday carols that lasts usually between 5 to 10 minutes long. The good thing about that is it's a brilliant way to showcase this historic instrument. The other caveat to that is you want to get to your seat early. If you want to hear this instrument, you got to be in the building. You got to have your seat at least 15 minutes before it starts. And if you've been here before, you know that it takes time to get into the building, right? It takes time to walk from the parking lot. So leave yourself enough time to make sure that you can have a leisurely walk or drop off. Find your seat to get settled, to be able to hear the Skinner organ featured right at the drop of 3 o'clock. So a little bit about the Skinner. E.M. Skinner was one of the most famous organ builders from the United States, and we are privileged to have a piece of his handiwork, of his craftsmanship here on our campus. Skinner was Pennsylvanian born. He was born in Clarion, and his work is featured throughout quite a number of universities and churches throughout the United States. He worked for Skinner and Cole. He worked for the E.M. Skinner Company. He was part of Aeolian Skinner. He and his son had a company at the end of his career, and his last work was in the Washington National Cathedral, I believe. This instrument was installed in 1926, and one of the things that Skinner was most famous for, and for some of you, you might know the sound of the organ, love the sound of the organ, but not be quite acquainted with how it works. And one of the things that older instruments that were entirely mechanical, they would work as an organist would press down a key. There would be what are called trackers, and they would be small little rods that would connect to another rod, that would turn another rod, that would turn another rod, and eventually would open up the valve to let air through the pipe, and that's how the pipe would sound. But it was entirely mechanical. And the more sounds, the more stops that you played at a time, the heavier the action was to play. Well, Skinner was particularly noted for his work in the electro-pneumatic organ system. And what that means is the pipes are still physical pipes, and there are still valves for those pipes. But rather than physical trackers going from the keyboard to the pipes, there's an electronic contact beneath the key, and when you press that key down, it touches the contact that sends a signal through a wire or a set of cables to the controller and the pipes that open up the valves. If you want to, in layman's terms, what does that mean for the organist? It means that this a portion of the organ which is called the console, and that's separate from the pipes that are going to be up in the chambers in the walls, that this console can be anywhere in the building, basically. Right? The pipes can be in the walls, but the console can be down on the floor because all you need is some wire. So Skinner was particularly noted for his work in electropneumatic organs. His instruments were very, very well respected and admired for the color of their solo stops, and they have a sweet tone to them, a mellow tone to them. In particularly, his French horn stop was particularly well loved. And let me play you just a little bit of his French horn. To highlight just a little bit of how sweet the color is of that instrument, listen to his trumpet. Another reed from this instrument on the swell division. All very, very sweet, sweet sounds. Of course, one of the reasons that the organ is considered and often dubbed the king of instruments is the breadth and variety of sounds that can be represented. In essence, the quality and sound of a full orchestra at the hands of one instrumentalist. So it's very difficult to show off an organ without showcasing like all of the sounds all at the same time, which is probably what everybody would like to hear. So here's just a little bit of a lot of the organ.
hopefully you got the impression through Zoom. As you may have noticed, I was adjusting the volume to make sure that that would come through okay. So hopefully you got the full feeling of that. Of course, there's nothing like sitting in the hall and hearing these pipes burst out from the vestibules in Asplundh Hall towards the audience. It's a great sound. And I know if you get here for our concert, you're going to enjoy it. There was a question about live streaming the concert. I'll check on that. I'm not sure it's live streamed because it's a ticketed event, but if it is, you'll see a live stream link on our website. Anything else about the organ? This is a really amazing instrument. It was refurbished in 1996, I believe, the last time, and we're currently collecting our funds. In fact, I see one of our primary sponsors on the call who has helped us in the past put this all together. Sandy Mather, who's definitely a big fan of this instrument, and we've been working really hard to put together all the funds we need to renovate, put a full renovation into this, which would actually involve taking all the pipes out of their vestibule, redistributing the organization of those pipes, putting them back in so we get the full effect, and a new console. So that's something we've been working on for a couple years now, and we continue to do until we can get this instrument fully functioning, although it sounds pretty good right now. Yeah. Anything you'd want to add to that?
No, other than I would say that it is, it's really a treasure that we have here, and that serves two big opportunities. One, it's a great opportunity to bring recognition to our school, to prestige to our graduates. It's also something that people want to play, people want to hear played, and yet Dean Hanning is exactly right. We are definitely in need of restoring it and building it, restoring it to where it is fully functional. There are things that aren't working as it ought, so we kind of hide those every so often. But it really is a wonderful instrument that we hope we are able to preserve for the community and for our students in the future.
So if anybody has a story they would like to tell about a past holiday program that you've seen, or maybe some of you performed in holiday programs in the past, it would be really terrific to hear from you. I think you could use the hand raising function, and hopefully I can see that and get you unmuted and to be able to tell your story. Somebody did ask a question about organ majors. Yes, we have, I think we have about 4 or 5 organ majors right now in the program. We have a couple of other instruments over in Swope Hall that students have access to, but this is our primary pipe organ.
Yeah, and we're very glad to have organ majors. That's another thing that a lot of schools are unable to perpetuate organ instruction because of a lack of an instrument, and so we are definitely glad that we are able to do that here.
The other thing that we offer our piano majors is organ minor lessons, because we know that there are a lot of opportunities for pianists to perform at churches and other locations to play the instrument, so we want to make sure those students also have access to getting organ lessons at Westchester. So anybody like to share a story? So I know I've been performing with the percussion ensemble on holiday concerts for the past. For those of you that don't know me that well, I've been here 26 years, so I've seen a lot of holiday concerts come and go over time, and we certainly are thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here on the faculty during this 100th anniversary. It's rare to be in a situation where you can celebrate something like this, and we're really excited to do that this year.
One thing that I might add in, if you were able to watch and see Kat Godfrey's presentation earlier in the evening, she showed a document that listed previous singers, honor soloists over the course of the years. and you might have noticed that there were some gaps in that list. Very often those lists are, I think she's holding
There
it up
it
right
is,
there,
yep.
yeah. Very often those lists are based on physical programs that we have in our archives that are able to be found, and sometimes people have these programs in their personal archives that we don't even know about. And I know Kat would love to fill in some of those blanks. If you by chance have 20 or 30 years worth of holiday programs somewhere stashed away, or if you have an aunt or an uncle that does, then please get in contact with
You have
us.
55
We
to
can certainly get in
394
contact
already.
with Kat, and we would love to be able to support that research and have that documented here.
Absolutely. And here's one from 1955. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, so that's wonderful and great to see so many names. Would love to fill in those gaps. So let us know if you have any info that we can use.
We have a question. Any chance you'd ever recreate the old Carol program for those of us who really would love to experience that again?
I
Like
think,
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think would be a really interesting thing to. We're going to put. This will be Kat's second thesis. That we're going to put her in
Sure, she
charge
wants to
of.
do another one.
Would be searching for some reels and videos of these things. That would be amazing to be able to share. I think that as we look at the programming for the concerts, we are always looking to kind of connect our patrons and audience members with the past and with the successful artistic presentations that we have done, and yet there is so much new music that we would not do our students it would be a disservice to them to miss out on some of the new and important works that are being composed today. So it's always a tough decision when you're talking about recreating something like that, but it's certainly something that could offer some great potential for research and for the students.
And Barb had a note here that we already have a gap filled. If you don't have the name for the soloist, in 1967, it was David Corson, class of 68.
Awesome.
So that
Great.
is fantastic. Thank you, Barb. And let's see if we have another question here. I was only part of one choral ensemble, and Dr. Kelly, you were my director. We were preparing for the holiday concert,
this?
2014 or 2015. This is Danielle.
Oh yeah. Hi,
Let's see,
Danielle.
in one of our last rehearsals, he revealed that we would be entering Asplundh through the front doors, singing down the hall to our risers to begin the concert. We had no idea that was the plan. Okay, well, see, our musicians are very flexible.
That's
and
right.
we teach flexibility because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. As we learned last year, when we had to, when the choirs were singing in a parking garage for most of the year.
There was some lawn maintenance that became part of that concert program as well. But that's a great story, Danielle.
Let's see if we have anything else. Anybody else want to chime in here a little bit? Like I said, you can enter anything in the chat. If you don't have any stories, or you can always email me at the School of Music with your stories, and we can collect those. And certainly if you can fill in any of those gaps that we have, I'll tell you what we will do. We'll take that list and we'll put it on our Facebook page. So for those of you that do any social media at all, we do have a Wells School of Music Facebook page, and we can put that up there, and folks can check it out. Let's see. Mary said the candlelight procession to Adeste was my favorite part. Women all in white gowns, yes.
Well, let me
And
give
candles, lit
give
candles.
you a sneak peek of you just mentioned Adeste Fidelis. We will be performing with the symphony orchestra and all of the choirs a setting of O Come All Ye Faithful. That will be our large group piece this year. So I hope you're able to hear it.
Fantastic. That is great. Was proud to be a part of the choral program from 2022 2002 to 2007. And Mrs. Performing under Dr. Giovine, that's Todd. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate that. The Carol program was hours long, not an hour. Yeah, our program is it's not going to be hours long. What is it, about an hour and a half,
It'll be
I
an
think.
hour. It'll be over an hour
to
but
an hour and a
yes,
half.
yeah. Yep.
And trying to keep the candles going, right. Yeah, that can be dangerous as well when we have lit candles in a building, but we know that happens in a lot of places during the holidays. Let's see. Fantastic. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for joining in at this special program. I want to thank Jenna Birch for emailing me and saying, hey, would you like to do this? And we thought this would be a terrific way to kick off our holiday season and get everybody ready for our holiday program coming up, like I said, on December 11th. So don't be a stranger, come out and see us. By the way, after the concert, we are going to have hot chocolate and cookies outside that you can take with you into your car for the drive home to keep you warm after our concert. So that's just another little special thing we're going to do for our 100th anniversary. We had hoped to do a lot more, but with the pandemic, we were kind of waiting. It was a wait and see thing. But we're happy to be performing concerts in person this year. Please check out our website for all of our programs. We put on about 200 different concerts and recitals a year in the Wells School of Music, so there's plenty of music to see. And of course, our holiday program is one of our very special traditions that we have at Westchester. So I know you're going to enjoy that program. And thank you all for coming out. Have a wonderful evening. And please stop by anytime and say hello in the Swope Hall at 817 South High Street. We'll hope to see you soon.
And thank you both for joining us. And a special thanks, I want to thank Kat Godfrey as well for being here and helping us learn a little bit more about the history and development of music here at Westchester. I really appreciate you pulled all of these great artifacts from upstairs. And thank you again to the Alumni Association for sponsoring this entire exhibition. So thanks.
Thanks, everybody, and good night.